The EU has warned that today is the absolute deadline for the UK to come forward with a better offer on Brexit. But what happens if Theresa May fails to reach a deal? The Prime Minister and Brexit Secretary David Davis have gone to Brussels today in the hope of striking a deal on the size of the EU exit bill, citizens' rights and the Irish border. A British government spokesperson said, with plenty of discussions still to go, Monday will be an important staging post on the road to the crucial December Council. European Council President Donald Tusk has made it clear that today is the deadline for the EU's Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier to recommend moving on to the next stage on trade and future ties. Tusk presented the timeline ahead of the December European Council, with December 4 as the absolute deadline for the UK to make additional efforts, allowing Barnier to be in a position to recommend sufficient progress, an EU official said. The official said Mr. Tusk had warned that if there was no progress by today, that would make moving forward impossible. If Theresa May fails to reach any kind of agreement today, there is almost no chance of the other EU member states giving the green light on trade talks before the end of the year. The other 27 countries in the EU are set to make a decision on whether to allow the UK to start trade talks during a summit on December 14 and 15. The EU has always said that this will only happen if there is sufficient progress on the cost of the EU exit bill, citizens' rights and the Irish border. If the EU countries once again refuse permission for talks to move on to the next stage, the impasse will stretch well into the new year. The UK would be forced to wait until a special summit or the next scheduled EU summit in March for trade talks to be approved. Britain does not want to wait for March for approval because this would be 1 year to go before the UK must leave the EU in March 2019. A further delay at this stage will increase the chances of a no deal at all, a possibility that could rattle the financial markets. Theresa May is welcomed by European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker at the EC headquarters in Brussels. It could also be a fatal blow for Ms May's fragile minority government, which is deeply divided on Brexit and relying on the DUP for support. Failure to reach a deal could lead to calls for Mrs May to resign and would give more leverage to Remainers fighting to stop the EU exit. The problem of the Irish border could scupper Brexit altogether because the EU has said that any agreement must be acceptable to Ireland. The DUP are also threatening to withdraw their support for Mrs May's government if the deal means Northern Ireland will be treated differently to the UK.